Hello, family, and welcome to another episode of Role Model Makers Experts Cafe. I'm your host, Dr. L, the Parent Whisperer, and today with me I have an amazing lady, Miss Helen Panos. Did I say that correctly, Helen? I just want to make
Yes, you
sure.
did.
Helen has been in our community a couple of times, actually more than a couple of times. She's been in our community for a while, and she's been on our events as well. So if you haven't been to our events, do make sure that you check out the amazing roster of experts that show up. So Helen, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here today. Can you tell our audience members a little bit more about what you do and how you got started doing it?
Sure. And thank you very much for having me on here, Dr. L. I am an educator of 25 plus years in a big public school system in Atlanta, Georgia. And so I was part-time the last 3 years leading up to COVID. They laid me off, but really at that point when I went into a part-time promotional job anyway, a 504 chair and gifted lead, I already knew that, I would just try to get to the retirement part and go ahead and leave because I had already started my company, Dynamis Learning. It's a K through 12 tutoring, SAT, ACT prep company. We do advocacy and also as college essay writing and application processing. So, I just realized that the schools can't possibly do it all for kids. And when they started leaning more toward, let's say, testing being the main thing, then I knew there were other ways to help children. So I decided to start Dynamis Learning 8 years ago. And now we're mainly virtual, actually, and nationwide.
Very cool. Now, as a father of a 13-year-old, I totally get the whole thing about these standardized testings and college admissions and everything else. So, what are the typical challenges that parents come to you? I have my own set, but parents come to you for when it comes to their child's academic performance and other things.
So I'd say the typical is number one, they're struggling with some type of content. That's still a typical. I'd say just a little higher level than most. Test strategies, if they can't do well on tests or they're seeing issues with the tests, and schools are using data a lot these days, they want to know what's going on with their child. Can you help them? And also, I'd say SAT, ACT prep, because a lot of kids are trying to get scholarships, especially in Georgia. You can get the Zell scholarship and get it 100% covered, but you got to hit a certain test score to get that along with your GPA. Another big popular thing nowadays, because a lot of kids are advancing, is we'll get calls about advancing children and or helping them because they have taken much more advanced classes and they need some assistance with that. So I also do helping kids get in the gifted program because I was a gifted lead for 9 years. So I know how to do that. Nobody else is really doing that. Nobody's really talking about it. So I know the inside track to that. And so kids may test and they can't get in, and parents will come to me for that. Or they've never tested before and they'll come to me for that.
Got it. Is PSAT part of this as well, or is it just SAT and
Yes,
ACT?
SSAT, PSAT. We do SSAT boot camps even in person here in Atlanta.
Got it. Got it. Very cool. Now, as far as the children, what are some of the suggestions you have for parents to start kind of guiding? Because these children are going into their teenage years and, they have their own set of agendas as far as what is their focus. So, what are some of your recommendations to parents regarding preparing the kids for what they ultimately want to guide the kids to do during
Um,
these high
I
school
would
and early college?
I would say if they haven't gotten into some good habits and skills, schools are not teaching skills. That's really going to be left up to the home life, parents doing that. And I know how busy parents are, so I think that's why they hire somebody like me. So we try to incorporate study habits, talking to them about that, being accountable to us for that. And parents don't want to get into a battle, as you basically probably know if you've got a preteen there. You don't want to be the one always being the messenger, and we know they tune the messenger out if it's the same one over and over again. So sometimes parents step out of and reach out for outside help on that. I would say study habits. So we do webinars on study habits actually for certain schools, but I'm going to open that up more to the universe, to everyone, because I mean, that sounds so simple, but they're not doing it because they're getting so distracted by other things like video games and their cell phones and their friends and all kinds of things hitting at them. That's very fast paced and much more interesting. Let's just be honest. So, also reading a book, something as simple as reading a book. Why? Because we're seeing over and over again, well, there's a push by, school systems to STEM. And then the kids are getting very strong in the science and math, but they're kind of dropping the reading. And again, the video games are taking over that spot of spending time reading a book. I don't care if they do that online or they do it the old fashioned way and turning pages. So they must do that, Dr. L, because what we're seeing is their scores are dropping in the SAT and ACT, PSAT and SSAT. And it's too late to tell them that once they come to us and say, I need some prep. This needed to be done from sixth, seventh, and eighth grade on a consistent basis, even over the summer. And who's going, and that's why we started a reading club this summer. And we've got a California kid on there with about 3 or 4 other Atlanta children. So that's why we did that, is to teach them those strategies. And it could be kids that are strong readers and they're not doing it. And it could be kids that are not so strong readers. Either way, they're leaving the reading behind and there's no way they can get the score they want. I don't care how strong they are in the sciences and math.
And what advice do you have for parents as far as what they can do themselves?
I would help them also set goals. I actually have a SMART goal planner that's out there on my Facebook page and elsewhere where we're right now we've been kind of putting up some of our freebies actually. But I would definitely teach them to set goals per semester. And I have a SMART goal planner to help parents do that. So you can probably find that on my website. And if you do that, that kind of gets them into understanding where they want to go long term. And something like that, you can sit down and set the goals yourself with them, set your own personal goals as an adult so that you're modeling it. Also, what I like to tell parents to do to help them read is that way you're not battling them going, you need to be reading, you need to be reading. You all can have a family night, like Sunday night's a good time. Some of my corporate dads are doing this. They already set a certain time every Sunday night or maybe late afternoon, whatever fits your family schedule. And that 1 hour is the time to drop everything and read. If you remember that term, dear, drop everything and read. And that means the adults too. And then you can make it where everybody at the end comes together. They all come together and everybody says something they were working on. What did they learn? And you could be doing your own work as an adult if you wanted to, or read a book as well and tell them what you're reading. So that way they don't feel isolated and that you're making them do this. They don't feel like they're, dreading it. And then you're not battling them because everybody's doing it together.
And since you were talking about goals, what are or what kind of a comment or feedback or whatever suggestion you may have for parents when we talk about goals, expectations, reasonable and unreasonable expectations. How do you decide what is reasonable, basically, when it comes to your kids' performance? We want the world for them, right? So where do we kind of curb our own enthusiasm and say, you know what, this is where I need to be with it?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. Expectations really kind of reflects your child. You have to look at your own child. Every child is different, even within the same family, right? Every kid should not be treated the same. So I'm not a big proponent of you must force them to go to certain colleges. I'm not even a big proponent, and here I am an educator of 25 plus years, that you must go to college. I mean, you hear that in a lot of school systems, right? I said that to my brother. I said, you know what? Your daughter doesn't have to go to college. She's not a huge studier like you weren't, but he's doing much better than I am, even Dr. L. And he put his nose to the ground. He did the some courses. He did professional development. He went into real estate. He was agent of the year. He's been in it 40 years to this day and doing very well, even all during when you were having slumps in the real estate market. He knew how to market. He knew how to network. So it's not for, I don't feel like it's for everybody. There's going to be probably a 15%, maybe 10, because kids today they're very intelligent and they might want to form their own business. And maybe they feel like, I don't have to go to college to do that. I mean, my brother could have gotten a real estate degree. He did not. He started college and then he left. He was never an A, B student. He was more of a B, C student. And why force somebody to go through college and then they find out halfway through they're not interested in this, and then you've just wasted their time. You're battling them. You've maybe lost money if you paid for classes. So I think you need to look at their passions and their interests at the most, and then talk to them. Let them go on college tours ahead of time, way before 11th grade. Start in 9th grade and have them look around, and you'll know pretty soon if that's the path they want to take. If they're on the fence, I think they should talk with a college advisor. And I know several people. I just referred our mayor here in this city to some people as well on that. And his son is a rising 9th grader. So that's as early as you need to actually be starting these days, is what I would say. So that way you have an idea of where your child really wants to go. Do they want to be a doctor? Do they want to be a professional engineer? Because those are different setups and different pushes, right? Because they're going to have to take tests just like teachers do and pass those tests and be studious and really willing to work hard to get to those positions. Otherwise, why are you pushing to go to a Yale or a Harvard or a Duke or whatever it is? They need and we do academic planning from, we say 6th grade. So we sit down and we let kids answer some questions on their own. If a parent needs to help them, that's fine a little bit. But we send them the questions, and then we look at what their interests are, and then we plan out all the rest of their 7th through 12th grade and which way they can go, the different paths, because really counselors are not doing that. I wouldn't call that college planning. College planners usually take you on around 10th grade, 9th grade, maybe. We want to start from 6th grade, because if your interests lie in something like a doctor or a lawyer, then you might want to get into these gifted classes and more advanced and dual enrollment and things like that. There's so many different paths today compared to when we all were in school.
These are really helpful hints. Thank you so much for them. And of course, there's a lot more to come. So how can people learn more and connect with you?
I would say the best place to go is my website, dynamislearningacademy.com, DYNAMIS, learningacademy.com. The company is now Dynamis Learning, but the URL is with the Academy word. Go into the contact section in there, and you can send me a message through there, and it'll hit me on my email. That's the best way to reach me.
Awesome. Very good. And what are some of the results? I guess you've been doing this for a while. So what are some of the results that you have seen when parents and kids come to you with their concerns and their challenges? What kind of stories do you see in transformations?
Oh gosh, a lot. I'd say we're pretty successful. I have like 20 tutors now, and they're all terrific. I handpick them myself. I interview them. They stay with me a long time. I pay them well, so that because I believe consistency is what yields results. And so the same child may be following us all the way from 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, and then I can shift them to another tutor depending on what the topic is. If it's a higher level science and math, that's a different type of tutor. So I can shift kids around within the company to other tutors to meet their needs. So I'm pretty good in the experience I've had over the years in determining who I feel is a good fit for the child. And it's not just you're out there looking for a tutor somewhere and you're really not knowing who you get if you go to let's say a franchise. So I take interest in what's going on, and if I need to, we can also collaborate together as different tutors. I'll talk with them, so we have a collaboration going on. But I think we have great success, and rare. I'd say 99% of it is very successful, and we also can identify by a tutor staying with that child for a while. They know that child very well, and they know their strengths and their weaknesses, and they can easily solve problems and talk to the parents, and they're more comfortable. So we're like an extension of the family. That's what I want it to be. I want them to be able to come to me, parents come to me about all kinds of questions.
Awesome. So guys, Helen has given me a number of different links and resources, and I'm going to go ahead and put them in the description of this video. So whatever you're doing, please make sure you put away multitasking, pause for a second, and go and check the description box, click on those links, open them up, and also connect with Helen. This is also important because we need to role model the behavior for our kids that making connections, reaching out is an okay thing to do, that the world is not a scary place, and also that we don't always have all the answers. So it is okay to look for it, uh, basically from the good people that want to make this world a better place. So please make
Mhm.
sure that you connect with Helen. And if you haven't already done so, click like and subscribe on our channel as well, so that you get notified of all the experts that come on our channel sharing their expertise and their gifts, such as Helen, and stay connected. Now, before we finish, Helen, any final words of wisdom for our audience members?
I want to just say, parents, please, there's a lot of stuff to know these days, and because there's just so much information, reach out to people that have, outside sources other than your school. Definitely communicate with your parents, with your schools and your counselors and your teachers. But when you feel like you're hitting a dead end with them, and they're not really answering you, then reach out to someone like myself and other people that can get you answers that you need, so you can progress along and have your child be as successful as they can be.
Well said. Well said. And with that, until next time, guys, we appreciate you and thank you, Helen. Take
Oh,
care.
you're welcome. Thank you. Bye bye.